Hey, it's Tim, Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk. We have a very special live stream for you tonight. Joining us from Chicago, we have the 5'1" of the world, Jill Simonello. And from the great Mitten State, we have the great and wonderful Toyota Vice President. Do you know Vice President? Nick Sitarski is in the house. How you doing, Nick? I did not realize you were a vice president until you told me. Then I was like, oh, wait, you are.
Yeah, that's a true fact.
Things I learned. All right, so let's hop into this. So Nick, we were with you a couple weeks ago. I was with you doing some running into cars on purpose. But let me back up a little bit. So let's slow the roll a little bit here. So you've been Toyota how many years now?
Geez, I joined in 2005, so I was at 17 and a half. July of 2005 is when I started.
I was thinking, looking at LinkedIn profile. So you kind of came out of college and kind of went this way, right?
Yeah, a little bit. I actually, in my case, I started college my senior year in high school at University of Michigan Dearborn, and I worked through college. And the last part of my college, and probably about a year after I graduated, I worked at a supplier called SY System Technologies, working on wire harness and power distribution. And probably about a year and a half after that, one of the people I raced boats with had been working at Toyota and recommended that I apply for a job at Toyota.
Wait. You said you raced boats?
Yeah, if you can see the pictures right there somewhere on my wall. From the time I was a funny story, there used to be a race in Trenton, Michigan when I was a kid. And I really liked the boats. And I was probably about 10. I wanted to stay down there. So my mom asked one of the racers, like, hey, my son wants to stay and hang out with you. So I just started hanging out with them. And then I got a little older, and I can't even imagine doing this now, but he had a friend that lived here because he lived in Chicago. And anyways, so yeah, my friend's going to pick your son up to go. I think the first race I went to was in Bay City, Michigan. And my parents just let this person I never met pick me up. And anyways, I was basically on a boat racing team until I was my mid 20s. So in the summer drive all over the country is actually where I learned how to tow a trailer. So yeah, fun times.
All right. So you've been hanging out with strange men since you're 10 years old. That's what I got from that conversation.
Yes.
Happy Friday, everybody.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. So you got involved in engineering, and then you end up with Toyota. So what's your current job?
Yeah. So I'm the vice president for integrated vehicle systems, which is very obvious what we do. But in reality, my area is responsible for ADAS, or advanced driver assist systems, and ADS, automated driving systems, for Toyota in North America. We have about 100-ish people that work in my area. And a lot of what we do is the performance or setting the criteria for these systems for the North American market. So we do a lot of evaluations. In some cases, we do design work, a lot of data analytics. So it's a wide variety of things, but we collaborate strongly with our partners in Japan.
Wow. So I'm gonna guess you did not get the D in math like I got.
I don't know that I ever got a D in math. So
I'm not even good at math, and I got A's. What the heck?
Well, I'll be honest, Tim. There's people in my division. I'm very blessed. They're much smarter than I am. So when it comes to math problems, I'm probably not the best person in our area to be solving them. But I got an amazing team to do that. So I'm very, very lucky and fortunate for that.
Yeah, see, I have Jill. See, that works out just the same thing. She handles all the math. I don't pretend
I'm not good at math, but I like math. So
no, I think what I did in college, the reason I went to Metro State instead of the University of Denver, CU, because the University of Metro State required one math class, D was passing, and CU required 2 math classes, and C was passing. So I took mathematical nodes of thought in the summer, and my kids can't be hearing this, but I skipped half the classes. I got a D, and I graduated my degree. That's done.
That's a little bit similar. When I went into college, I knew I wanted to do engineering, or I thought I did, because everyone's, in high school and elementary school said, you're good at math, you got to be an engineer. And there's lots of different types of engineering. And so I went through the curriculum. In electrical engineering, there's only one chemistry class. And so I said, I'm doing electrical engineering. I wasn't very good at chemistry for whatever reason. And so that's how I made my decision.
See, it real world stuff. So I'm going to throw Jill here in a little bit, but I want to ask you, people are asking questions about this because immediately it's an interesting conversation. But I'm just curious from your standpoint, when you start a project, like I was with you and we crashed into dummies and stuff like that, or whatever, the cars. But when they come to you and say, hey, we want to make, or you want to make this happen, or if they come to you or you come to you, whatever, how the situation works out, what's your time frame from when something idea populates in your head to coming to the market?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll give you the answer my wife absolutely hates, which is it depends. It really does. If it's like a small, I'll say, function or feature on something that's already existing, that can be done in a little bit like shorter time. But to give some perspective, I think you saw our PVM system on the new Tundra and Sequoia, and there's quite a few new things in there. We worked with a new supplier, et cetera, et cetera. Something like that's probably like a 2.5 to 3 year development cycle. It can be more than that. It can be less than that. But, typically in the 2.5 to 3 years, usually after maybe like 1.5 years or 2 years, we have something that is basically okay. And what I tell people is like the first 90% is easy and then not easy, but that last 10% to go through and like meticulously look through everything and make sure you don't have any errors that escape. There's a lot of testing and, we call them edge cases that aren't always so obvious to start with. So that takes quite a bit of time. I think, Toyota, we pride ourselves on QDR, quality, dependability, and reliability. So we try to go the extra step and look for stuff. That being said, we're pretty excited about over-the-air updates, and we're starting to see some of those features or systems that are capable to have over-the-air updates. So hopefully, as that takes off, again, it's hard to replace the hardware in that matter, but once the hardware is in there, hopefully we can enhance the user experience and make new features or improve on things as we go. And in an ideal world, that can get down to like a 6-month cadence or something like that.
And that's a rapid pace for as far vehicles. So Jill, what are you getting in the comments? You got somebody asking the questions here?
Oh no, just Dick Heater, I don't know, he was saying driver aids are for younger drivers, not old geezers like me. And I'm like, au contraire. I actually really like for my parents, as their reaction times get a little bit slower and maybe their visibility isn't as good, like I would never let my parents buy another car without automatic reverse braking, because to me that it just, something like that is good for everybody, because you don't know, like in a parking lot, if somebody's running behind you, if there's a grocery cart behind you, if there's something you can't see down low. So I think driver's aids are for everyone, first off, but I also really appreciate them. As my parents get older, I'm like, adaptive cruise control, that's going to be a thing for you. Automatic reverse braking, also a thing for my parents. Maybe lane keep assist, because I know my dad doesn't drive anymore, but when he did, he was starting to go like this. And I was just like, you hate to get in the car with them. And if you just had something that would just make sure that he was staying in the lanes, it would make me feel a lot better about letting him have the keys. But no, I think it's for everybody, but I think especially as my parents' age, and I won't call them old geezers.
Is that what you're saying, Nick, for your like research and stuff? Are younger people adapting to this, or is it just older adoption? I mean, what's the customer case?
Yeah, it's everybody's got an opinion, right? And old habits die hard. One of the interesting things is I don't know how much the two of you look at kind of third parties, but IIHS, or the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, published a study in March of this year, and they went through probably 10 or 15 different types of ADAS systems and looked at them in different ways. And in every case, there were dramatic reductions in accidents. And so I think it's important when we talk about ADAS and automation, it's important for people to realize that right now there are no autonomous systems on the market. There's,
Wait.
I was going to say, wait a second. Let's just say
Can
full
you
stop.
repeat that one more time?
Repeat
Everybody
it again.
listening.
Yes.
shocking, right?
Tesla. I'm sorry.
Not self-driving.
Yeah, and I'm happy to give a detailed explanation if you're interested, but there's no autonomous systems on the market right now. There's some companies in very limited areas, mainly with safety drivers. Some of them got rid of their safety drivers in very controlled conditions, have some cars without drivers, but there's no individual personally owned vehicle where someone can go and buy a self-driving car. Where that's important is, in our case, Toyota has kind of this vision of safe and reliable travel, and that means 0 deaths and injuries from traffic accidents, comfortable and congestion-free travel, and no one lacking access to a means of transportation. And so it's important to understand all these ADAS systems, some of them there for convenience, most of them are there to provide safety benefits and reduce accidents. And the data shows when used properly, and that's the key word, when they're used properly, people understand what their purpose is. It's not to drive down the road in the back seat reading a book, but they're there to augment and support a driver. The reality is, there's lots of accidents. Unfortunately, there's lots of traffic deaths, and these systems are there to reduce the severity of accidents, reduce the number of deaths, reduce the number of severe injuries, and in a lot of cases, make your driving more pleasurable. And I'm not sure how familiar you are, your viewers are with the different SAE levels of automation. Most vehicles that you see that people say are self-driving, which are not, are what we call an SAE level 2. And what that means is they're sustained lateral and longitudinal control. So your lateral control is like your adaptive cruise control forward and backwards, and your longitudinal is your left and right or side to side. And there's sustained control there. And the key point for a level 2 system is with driver supervision. And so none of those systems are perfect. Some are better than others. But the key point is they're not perfect systems. If they were perfect systems and they could handle every scenario by themselves, they wouldn't be an SAE level 2 system. They would be a higher level system. And so it's really important for people to understand that these are support systems to interact with the driver, and they're not autonomous systems. And when they're used properly, the data shows that most of them are reducing, accidents, and other ones are just convenient. And in the cases where they're not convenient, people don't have to turn them on.
So clarification here, just very aware. So SAE is Society of American Engineers, and they set different levels throughout. So think of this: engineers get together and decide things. It's kind of crazy how that works out, right? I mean, it's one of those crazy things.
Yeah, and it's important. And what I can say is one of the reasons I like working at Toyota, and I worked there so long, is our focus is really on the safety of our customers and creating that good quality, dependable product. There's lots of examples of things that maybe we could do in my case for ADAS or autonomous, but at the end of the day, everything we do, we look back and say, is this kind of the best and safest way we could do this? Is this going to have any unintended consequences of creating bad driving habits for our customers? And so we want to be making systems that provide some value, provide some convenience, but do it in the safest way possible for our customers.
Yeah, and I will say, I feel like Toyota systems are among the better systems out there. And I'm not saying that just because you're a guest. But like somebody on there, two Explorer videos just commented, about Subaru and how it's really sensitive and it would trigger when he was backing out of a friend's driveway. And if anybody has ever followed the Jill rants that I used to do on this channel, one of them was about safety systems that were too sensitive, and it was literally Subaru Forester. I was driving it, and I was like driving down, and in Chicago, I mean, you have to drive a little bit aggressively. And so I would be like speeding up to like get around somebody, and the system would be like, and then it would like break, and I'm like, no, you can't break. I'm trying to pass. And it would be like squawking and doing all these horrible things. And so it makes you want to turn the systems off. And what good is a system if you turn it off?
And that's exactly kind of what the challenge is we have these systems that we know provide safety benefits.
Right.
But if they're implemented in a way that become annoying or burdensome, people turn them off, and then you don't get those safety benefits. So I can definitely understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I'm driving a Mercedes GLS right now, and I like turn a corner, and the camera pops on, and it starts beeping at me, and I'm like, no, I'm just turning a corner. There is nothing near me right now. Like, why are you like squawking at me? And so I need to like dig into some of those menus and see like if it's just on super hypersensitive mode or what's going on. But like literally like turning a corner and not near anybody, and it's going off. And so, you know, when you design a system like that, people hate them. And a lot of automotive journalists actually call them nannies. They're like safety nannies. And the first thing a lot of you know, our colleagues do is go in and turn them all off. And I'm like, no, I want them all on because I want to see how they operate.
Yeah, it's like, you know, the story I've heard, and this is maybe a little before my time, but, you know, when the transition happened from going from a mechanical key to a remote keyless entry, you know, the attitude's like, why do I need these? I just use the mechanical key. And then after a while, they become better and better. And you know, you can't really imagine buying a car with just a mechanical key now. And, you know, one of the things that I think we have a benefit for is, as far as our TSS or Toyota Safety Sense system, that includes our pre-crash and lane keep assist, et cetera, et cetera. You know, we were kind of a pioneer in adopting that on most of our vehicles really early. And when we launched it, we had some, you know, we call false positives, and we were able to learn from that. And so we have lots of vehicles with lots of miles on the road. You know, we're up to probably our third, really our fourth generation type systems. And so we've been able to take and improve each time. And I can tell you where every metal bridge in the country is, and what states use metal bars to fix the gaps in their concrete. But yeah, knock on wood, our core TSS system is, you know, really robust and reliable right now, and get very, very few complaints and from feedback from them.
Oh my goodness. I got to say two things. First of all, I have squawked at Jill while she's driving, so I understand what Mercedes-Benz is doing. No problem with that at all.
Just turning a corner. And you didn't squawk. You went like this, and then you like, you know, grabbed the oh shit bar. That's what you did.
I think I muted you. I didn't hear you. I muted you for a minute. I don't know what, you know, what's going on over there.
Was that the joke you were telling me, Tim, where you're putting a speaker in the car and following around with a remote? Is that what it was?
Yeah, right. She definitely has some viewpoints on certain things, and it's fun to get it on the camera. Yeah, it's fantastic. So I'm going to allude to this because I haven't written the story yet, but you launched a new total lift kit. It's a 3-inch lift kit for the Tundra. And the big deal with lift kit is as the TSS is actually working with that lift kit. So I'm curious now, did you get involved in that project, or did you have to validate the lift kit actually worked with that?
My team was very involved with that project. Yeah, we were kind of the ones who pushed it. Look, you know, I said that Toyota's goal, one of our goals, is safe and reliable transportation. And, you know, when we launched the TSS system several years ago, we committed that we wanted that on our vehicles. And we know people do things like lift their truck, tow trailers, et cetera, et cetera. We didn't want to put our customers in a position where they had to choose this TSS system or lifting their trucks. Definitely, we could set it up to where you buy a vehicle without these systems, or you must disable your system. But we said, you know, we want to provide something with a reasonable lift. I think it's around a 3-inch lift. And we want to make sure that someone who does that can still take advantage of these safety systems. And so we spent a lot of time and effort validating those systems to make sure that people can continue to get the experience and safety benefits for the lifted truck. So when I say we put kind of safety as a top priority. From the engineering side, like we truly live that, and I try to instill that in all the engineers that I work with and work for me. That's just the culture of the company. And so we had a talk, Tim, about last time we were together about like almost everything on the cars that we do, there's a reason for it. And some people may say, why did you do this? Why did you do that? But I can tell you there's hours and hours and hours for like making decisions that the average person, my wife tells me all the time, like, why are you guys talking about this? And I'm like, because we're engineers, that's what we do. My point is with a lifted truck, we wanted to give people the option to lift their truck and have their TSS or Toyota Safety Sense system working.
Yeah, I mean, I remember Jill talking with the chief engineer, Mike Swears, about adjustable pedals and how he admitted, he goes, look, the emails in Toyota about adjustable pedals are crazy. Arguments going on both ways and pros and cons. And you're smiling because I'm sure you've been CC'd some of these. I mean, and I'm not saying there's a right decision or wrong decision in the adjustable pedals. I mean, they are definitely. I thought it was eye-opening. We learned more about that as far as there are some pros and cons to it, and it's interesting how it works out. But I was curious about overall when you look at the TSS. I mean, is that something that you think is going to be in the future, be able to work with snow, ice, mud? Like, I mean, I tell people on this channel all the time, like, I want to buy car washes because I believe car washes are the future. And I'm telling you right now, it's a massive business opportunity. Hit me up. I'll bet your capitalist.
All you need to do is,
Yeah, exactly. So,
it's not that hard.
So Jill is wiping off her lens, but I mean, where are we at with that? I mean, do you foresee a day where the sensor's going to work with some little mud on them?
You mentioned mud. That's great.
Well, the mud on the tires. That's like 10 country songs right there, I think, on the top 5.
Yeah. If I could even describe in words what we tried to do, or what we did for the blind spot system on the Tundra and Sequoia to make sure they were working with mud and didn't have an impact, it was a pretty big effort. But look, the reality is all of these systems have sensors, and those sensors need to be able to perform. And like I said, if the sensors were 100% perfect in all conditions all the time, we wouldn't have a level 2 system. There are some interesting things that we do look at. Cameras, we try to put them in areas on the windshield, behind the windshield washer when we can, for your forward-facing cameras. You can add heaters to radars to kind of like a slushy snow, help melt that away. The camera location for like your PBM or your rear backup camera, there's coatings that we can use if we need to. We spend quite a bit of time actually on how we package them and what angle we put them at, and even do like aerodynamic analysis to see where there's turbulence to be likely or less likely to have debris like accumulate on there. What else do we do? Some vehicles have like washers that pop out. I've seen OEMs toy around with like air knives, and they're getting pretty good. We monitor customer feedback. There's vehicles in the past that maybe had comments of the camera is always getting blocked or dirty, and we spend a lot of time to figure out like how do we improve that? Is it with the washers? Is it the way we package it for the aerodynamics so there's air turbulence so nothing can get in there? But there's a lot of things that go into it. So is it perfect? No. It's gotten a lot better over time, and certainly we're always investigating ways to make the sensors work better.
I think you bring up a really interesting point that people don't always understand. They always reach out to me, they email me, say, I got a problem with my truck, this issue, that issue, whatever. I'm like, well, take a dealership. And they're like, why don't take a dealership? I'm like, no. Take a dealership, create a customer service record, because engineering actually sees that stuff. So, I mean, how many of those reports do you see? I mean, not personally, but I mean, and I know you're pretty more active. I'm gonna go on a limb here. I think you're a little more active on social media and forums than maybe some of the more white-haired associates you may have working with you. So, I mean, how much that stuff do you see?
We have lots of different ways to listen to our customers.
Okay.
we have quality departments, we have whatever. But I can tell you in our area, we're dealing a lot with safety systems. Not all of our systems are safety, a lot of convenience systems. But my area will review basically any claim for any of the safety systems. We'll go out and investigate if there's something that we feel is not right. We'll send a team of engineers to the location and try to recreate what's happened. I've gone to dealerships myself. I was actually just at a dealership in California probably about 2 months ago, just to see what they had to say. And while we were there, there was an issue that was not a big issue, but just something that with the new technology they know how to handle. And I actually called some of the engineers back to our office and had it fixed within a day or two. So, we care about our customers, and we spend a lot of time trying to learn their feedback and listening to them. And, when there are problems, we fix them, the best and as quickly as we can, and try to avoid having any type of customer complaints to begin with. And, again, that's just a culture of Toyota from the day you start is, listen to the customers and take care of them, and, make good quality, reliable systems, and, learn from things we can learn from.
Dick's got a question. I want to put this on the screen because I was interested in this question too. I drove back the other night, 8 days in a road. What did I say? 5 states, 4 hotel rooms, multiple days, bad meals, all that stuff. I grabbed a Monster and a Diet Coke, and I drove home at 9 o'clock at night, and I hammered it. And I was luckily in the vehicle I was in had some safety technology to it, some driver aids, because I needed it. I was late at night, tired of stuff. But so Dick wants to know, how soon before there is I can take a nap mode while driving? I mean, this is interesting because people think that these cars are autonomous now. I mean, how far out are we from that?
Yeah. My opinion is that the reality is, I just gave a presentation about this last week. What the big difference between an autonomous and a non-autonomous car is, they both have cameras, they both have radars, they both have lidars, they both have a bunch of CPUs in them, computers. The personally owned vehicle that you drive has this really fantastic sensor and computer called the human in there. And an autonomous car doesn't do that. And so I like to break things down simply. If you want an autonomous car, you have to be able to recreate the sensing capability and the human compute capability in a reliable way that is much better than a human themselves. And you can do that now with a lot of money in very specific scenes and limited locations. So that's why I started off with this, is like, the reality is the average person buying an autonomous car where they can take a nap is not anytime soon. There might be some very specific cases where, okay, we'll let you take your hands off the wheel, or, a level 3 system is like, it's autonomous, but the driver has to be able to, that's the Society of Automotive Engineer level 3. It's autonomous, but the driver has to be able to react within a, pretty quickly, 10 or 20 seconds. But it's important, and I preach all the time that these systems are not 100% robust systems. They're assist systems. They're to work with the driver in collaboration with the driver, to help improve the safety in case the driver does miss something. There are things that the sensors are better at than a human, or to make their life a little bit more convenient, or a little bit more relaxed while they're driving, a little bit less stressful. But they're not autonomous systems. Go anywhere, do anything, take a nap in the back seat. So,
yeah. I will tell you that we had the Ford Lightning this week. I did, and I had my wife drive with Blue Cruise, and I find I had my friends with some Super Cruise with GM as well, and I find what happens all the time is there's the oh my god moment, the total freak out moment. And then there's the, oh wait, I can relax moment for a minute. And then there's the, I'm going to accept this for what it is kind of moment. And it's just this continual like move down this road to get to that point, to get people to adjust to it. I play a lot of golf with a bunch of retirees. That's what I do. But they always talk. Yeah, I get that. Thank you, Jill. But they always talk about how they love adaptive cruise now. And it's interesting how that the conversation has shifted over the years from I don't need this stuff to, oh wait, it is kind of nice when I have it.
Yeah, I think that one is acceptance, and two, the systems have just gotten better over the years. If you look at our adaptive cruise control now versus whatever 5, 6, 10 years ago, it's not so abrupt. It's a lot more natural. If you remember Jared from when you were at our place, Jared led a huge activity on our Sienna and really improve the adaptive cruise control performance, and we call it natural and confident feeling for the North American market. And we've continued to make some improvements on the Tundra and Sequoia. And then, you know, a lot of the discussion now, the adaptive cruise control is pretty good. Your lane centering, there's a lot of discussion. And really the key thing for that is that there's no perfect lane centering system. And the decision each OEM has to make is like, when do we want to give control back to the driver? And our very high level strategy is we want to make sure that when the driver does have to take control, they have time to react to it. Now you can be more aggressive and maybe keep control on the vehicle side a little bit longer. When you do that, you may have a situation where the driver just doesn't have enough time to react. So there's plus and minuses and trade-offs, and you know, you want these systems to be intuitive and easy to use, but at the same time, we don't want the drivers to be over reliant on the system, and you know, they need to be able to be ready to interact and collaborate and work together with these systems.
Yeah. I was gonna pull this up here. I want to share this because if you haven't seen this video yet, you really should. And so this is Jared, and we are in a Toyota Tundra that was 79-4 or whatever the trim, doesn't matter. And a couple things. So first of all, this is at your facility, which I was thankful you guys invited me out and I was able to do this. But also that we're towing a trailer and it's going to stop at the exact. It stops, but it also controls the trailer too, which is really important point there, because typically when you slam the brakes on, the trailer is like on its own, right? It's going to do its own thing. So one thing I have a question. We're gonna quasi crash into this yellow car. How many yellow cars do you go through a year? Is there a number there? Is it a budget line? Do you have like 15, 20?
You know, what I'll say is that typically the only time we hit the cars is when we let new people drive that aren't used to hitting a car, and then they freak out and like start doing crazy stuff. But the systems are robust. You know, our PCS is, we've been doing it for a long time, and it works really well. It's this weird thing, and it's hard to describe to people, but like naturally when you're doing this testing, and it gets even worse when you put like the child dummy or mannequin in front of you, or the adult mannequin, like it's really hard to do these tests until you're used to it, because like you just want to swerve out of the way. Your mind's just like trained, like there's a car, what am I doing here? So
yeah, I mean, so Chief Engineer Mike Spears actually talked about this in Orland Expo East. He had a talk around, whatever. He said this test right here, out of all the years in automotive, this is the scariest test, because here's what happens, folks. As you're driving forward, we're sitting there driving, and I've tested. We didn't do anything. Like it's crazy. And then there's another test here. I'm going to fast forward for a minute. I think it's towards the end. Basically, what you're doing here is you're going to drive into the cone. I can pull this up, and you put the throttle down. And so as you're driving, let me go skip around, whatever. It's not going to work. I'm going to skip around too many times. But basically, as you're driving, as you hit this, I'm going to say it incorrectly, but the vehicle sees an object, and it stops for you while even you're pushing the accelerator pedal down.
Yep. Yeah. And by the way, to all your viewers, please don't try these things at home. As good as the systems are.
I'm professional at a professional test track, whatever. But yeah, so There's a spot here. A video editor Phil's got this, but basically what happens is it actually drives into the vehicle. There it is there. So let me go back.
Yeah, the background on this is the reality is there's a lot of pedal misapplication, and so you get a warning, and as you're pulling up to something, and what we're trying to avoid is like someone gets a warning, so they go to slam on the brakes, but they accidentally slam on the gas pedal. This is also a test that's really hard, and I think probably you can describe your experience, Tim. But when Jared says like, okay, drive at this thing, and when you get close, slam on the gas pedal, it's kind of like this weird thing. Like, what? Wait, what do I do?
It is odd, and so I don't know if I explained it well in this video. I don't always got it, but look at this right here. So this right here, if you're on the podcast, you can't see it. I understand. What I'm doing is that we're driving into an object, and as the truck stops, and it's one of those slam on the brakes kind of events. The truck jeers a little bit, whatever. Inside the truck, his foot is on the gas pedal,
like all the way.
All the way, like it's full down. And this happens. I could imagine this happening in Chicago with Jill, other places. You freak out, all of a sudden.
I never freak out, by the way.
Never. Instead of hitting the gas pedal, you hit the brake pedal, or vice versa, whatever you want to do, and that's what happens. And so, I mean, it was the trailer stuff was cool, but having this happen again and just watching that on camera and experiencing it, I mean, it's full pedal down. There's no. It's fascinating to watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Jared does a good job with this stuff. He's like, he lives and breathes this stuff, and yeah, he did a good job demoing that. Usually when we have people come out and showing people how to do these, he's our go-to person to do that. So
it was easy. I threw a camera up, and here you go, Jared, start talking, and then it was 45 minutes later when we were done.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that system there, you said years, but I mean, over the air update, that kind of stuff. I mean, does that system go elsewhere? I think you commented somewhere else about being on Sequoia, elsewhere through the lineup. So once you develop something, can you put it out through all your vehicles, or?
Yeah, typically what'll happen is, something like that requires hardware or a specific ECU. Once we develop these systems, typically, there's a cadence, whether we do it at like a minor model change or a full model change. There's planning on like when's the appropriate time. Sometimes you develop a new system, but it's not. You might need like an update to like the platform of the electrical system before it's compatible. So there's a lot that goes into what is next. I'm reading the next question of.
So I just didn't want to lose that comment or the question, so I figured I'd put it up there.
Alex is basically a huge AL is a huge Miata kind of guy. He's on quite a bit, but we're talking about like TSS. So Total Safety Sense is you have a plus now, I think it is. And
plus 2.5 million or 3.0
whatever. There's a lot of names. Yeah.
So the question is, what's up next for the future iterations of TSS for people who are listening on the podcast?
And by the way, your total PR people are watching this going, no, don't answer that question.
We don't talk about future products.
I will tell you that I've had very extensive media training, so I can.
Future product development is something we're looking at all the time. It's not able to be discussed.
Yeah. Well, let me start off with the TSS 3 is just coming out. I think the NX has it, and RX is launching with it. There's a couple features on there that I think are really really good, and maybe at some point, Tim or Jill, you can experience them. Maybe you already have. The RX has kind of a hands-free version in low speed. I don't know the exact speed. I want to say it's like 40 kilometers per hour or something, maybe around 25 miles an hour. Don't quote me on the exact number, but
I feel like it's under 30. I experienced it when I was in LA in rush hour traffic, and so
by accident. By accident.
What do you mean by accident?
You just noticed it worked that way? Were you
I used it and it turned off when I went over 30 miles per hour.
Yeah, and that's that's like a good use case for hands-free, is like low speed, very heavy traffic.
Sure.
So that's on there. We were very involved in something, PDA, proactive driving assist. Did you get to experience that, or did you talk about that when you drove the RX?
No, again, another fascinating piece from you. PDA.
Yeah.
Now, is
Not
that
public
that's
displays of
Marketing.
affection.
No. I think it's proactive driving assist.
I'm like, the PDA used to be a Palm Pilot thing. You used to just type your data into. No.
Yeah. Hopefully I didn't butcher the acronym, but anyways, I'd be interested to see what you think about it. We've gotten kind of mixed feedback, but it does two main things, and I'll try to explain it at a high level. The first one is like if you're coming up to a stop car or something, and you know how you may like take your foot off the gas pedal, and then you go to hit the brake, and there's that kind of time period where like you want to slow down more. Or even if you're going into like a turn where it's like a small radius turn, and you're at some high G level, and you might for that turn want to take your foot off the gas pedal and then hit the brake pedal to scrub some speed. What the PDA system does is it will kind of start braking when you take your foot off the gas pedal, is the best way I can describe it. So it almost feels like a regenerative brake on a hybrid system. And there's different levels you can put, and you can turn it off, but it's nice, especially in the turns where, if you're going down a windy road, it's not like brake, gas pedal. It slows down just enough for you as you're going into the turn. So we spent a lot of time working on that system. One of the engineers in my area had a personal passion for getting that system in the TSS. So that was good. The next version of TSS, I probably can't give too much information about, but I can tell you there's some really cool stuff coming out with all of our ADAS systems in the years to come. So we're going to continuously be adding some pretty cool stuff.
So do you have a target of when we'll see some of this stuff coming up?
The proactive driving assist?
Well, no, you said the stuff that you can't talk about. Do you know like when we'll see like?
I do know exactly when you'll see it.
But you can't say?
I cannot say.
Yeah. I figured I would try. I mean, I wouldn't be a journalist if I didn't try.
Yeah, I understand. If not, I might be coming. If I did say, I might be coming to ask Tim for a job. So.
So how much do you follow the industry overall? I mean, you alerted to some of your competitors who, I don't know, don't do self-driving very well, but I mean, how much do you watch that stuff?
Well, what I would say is I try to stay on top of things. I mean, the auto industry is pretty complex. I won't necessarily say competitors don't do things well. What I can say is, competitors definitely have different design choices or different priorities than we do. I think we do a good job of prioritizing the safety in our designs and, making them a good collaboration. That's not to say other people don't, but you've driven enough cars that both of you that I'm sure you can tell the differences in how they're set up and how they're tuned, and there's a lot that goes into that. Okay,
so I figure this is the elephant in the closet in the room. I don't know, but so this is just kind of like a tail end of a conversation, but just saying that. And this is Eric Odinsky, who says the point he's making is that people are no longer learning to drive safely. And I mean, that's an argument a lot of people are making with ADAS systems. And I mean, do you have thoughts on this, or
Nick? I don't have any thoughts on this at all.
Yeah, no thoughts. A lot of thoughts. What I'll say is I can understand that point of view, but the reality is, if you look at any objective study, these systems reduce accidents in injuries, fatalities, et cetera. So, I get it. Like, it took me a while. When I learned to back up a trailer, I was driving a truck with no windows in the back, and I used my right mirror and my left mirror, and, now you get the cameras and the this and that, our system that backs it up straight for you. So like, I get it. But the data shows that these systems work. And I think the reality is, like, people need to understand what they are. These, these are not autonomous systems of go anywhere, do anything, the car is going to save you. It's like, you need to drive the car in collaboration with these systems, and they're there to look over for you in kind of the worst case scenario. I tell people all the time, when Tim came out to drive the trailer PCS, I said, look, this is the absolute best system that I hope none of our customers ever have to experience. I hope it would be great if we never had a customer whose PCS came on and they didn't need it. But, it's nice for me to know that is there to help prevent people from, getting in accidents as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean,
personally, I think that if you want to make drivers safer, you need to bring back the manual transmission.
I would love that, Jill.
Because think about it. You can't text and drive with a manual transmission. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the benefit of being a journalist like myself is I've got invited to this really cool event with Nick and his team and be able to test this stuff out, because that's not a system I actually actively test. It's not something I actively try to test. I don't have the desire to test it that way. I think Ray was great to see that equipment testing desire all rolls into one. Yeah, and the reality is we talk about those systems as a company. Not that we try to hide them or anything like that, but also we're very careful how much we emphasize on what those systems are, because we don't want to create this false narrative of what our systems are capable of. So, yeah. I remember with the Toyota 4Runner, for instance, it had to be TSS because it's the way the company decided to make it happen, and it create some changes that the vehicle itself, the front face, had to be changed for some sensors to go in there. And so, I mean, you guys are actually driving part of the future innovation with the company in a way that the design team's got to integrate it, the engineering team's got to integrate it. It's got to happen. Yeah, and that's that's kind of where I mentioned our division is integrated vehicle systems. We look at all that. We work with the packaging, and we have some partners that will help us package. But packaging meaning where the parts are installed on the vehicle. Something like a blind spot monitor radar, we have to work very closely with our friends in the styling, because the shape and the material, the surface in front of the radar can impact the performance. So really, there's a lot of things that people may not even think have an impact on these systems, and they do. And we have, fantastic engineers that look at all those details to make sure all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed before we release something to the public. Have you ever been really surprised by some customer feedback? I don't know if surprise is the right word. I mean, people have opinions, and when we get feedback, like, we really try to understand where the feedback's coming from, and people have their opinions for a reason. So, like, as much as we look at things and we think we're right and we had a way to do it, people's opinions and emotions are their opinions and emotions, and like, they own those. We can't tell them they're wrong. So I wouldn't say surprised, but certainly we get customer feedback and try to consider that, and try to consider what we could do differently or improve when it's necessary. Sometimes it's a matter of even just like sitting down and explaining something to a customer. And I've talked to plenty of customers, in dealerships, just to try to explain why things are the way they are. But like I said before, when we design these systems, like, we obsess on things that kind of the average person would just like I said, my wife all the time is,
why are you guys talking about that for 4 hours? Or, you know, that, so like everything's considered, and the customer feedback's important to us, right? Like we want to make vehicles and systems that our customers appreciate and enjoy, and you know, we want to be proud of that. So their feedback's really welcome and valued.
So you guys go through and censor all the cuss words out, and you pull it back to what the emotion is. You pull that away from it, look at what the real issue is.
We try to, yeah, and sometimes that takes some digging, right? So
Right.
yeah, I think that's one key thing is like our engineers and like they really care, and you know, like this is their livelihood, and you know, this is like what they do with their life, right? So we want to do everything we can to make the best systems out there that we can.
Yeah. I will say, in all my years of covering the automotive industry, and I've covered Chevy and Ford and Ram, all kind of stuff, I will say your engineering group actually really does listen to feedback and really does actually not like it's not like a fight. It's not like an argument. It's a, hey, you said this. Okay. We can make that better. Like there's never like a, I'm going to challenge you on a spot with that, because other brands do. I mean, those brands I've gone nose with them, toes, and I've discussed things with them. But you guys actually sit back and go, you know what? Tim's emotional or whatever's going on, or Jill's just mad about something, or you know, whatever. And this is actually what they truly mean, and actually we can improve that.
Yeah, well, and like I said, from day one at Toyota, it's kind of bad news first, right? And I've heard in many companies, it's like you want to put on this pretty picture and sweep things under the rug, but you know, our view is like we want to bring out and find the issues, because if we're not honest and transparent and bring them out to everybody, like how can we realistically make our products better? So you know, that's the way we operate. Like if there's a problem, like we're all adults, we're all professionals, let's talk about it, let's figure out what we can do better, and let's learn from it. And one of the things I always tell my engineers is like they'll come to me and they think I'm joking, and I'm kind of half joking, but we have this problem, we have this issue, and it's like, no, that's not a problem or issue. That's a learning opportunity. You know, that's a Kaizen, or, you know, Kaizen's continuous improvement. That's an opportunity for us to improve. So like what happened. So, you know, let's not waste this opportunity. Let's learn from it and make our products better for our customers. And that's just the mentality of all the engineers that I work with.
Okay. So you drive all your new products like all the time. You see them all the time. So
Yeah.
in your driveway right now is a 27-year-old minivan. What's going on in the driveway?
Yep, 27-year-old minivan. No, I have a new 1794 Tundra.
Oh.
I got the and actually it's a funny story. When you came out there, the one truck you drove was actually my truck, because
Yeah.
the other test truck we had didn't have the under view camera, so you were in my truck. That's one of them. And my wife has a 2021 Highlander.
Okay.
Highlander Limited.
Yeah. Very cool. So I rode in his truck. Jordan drove, by the way. I rode in the truck. But yeah, so I mean, so you not only do you design the products, but you actually buy the products too.
I do. My wife gets annoyed because every time I get a truck, I'm talking about the next truck I want to buy or lease. And you know, I think it's important that I experience the systems we're designing, and by the type of stuff I work on, that's usually like the latest, newest vehicles. And it's important to you know, we say go to the Gemba, go to the place where it's happening, put myself in the customer's shoes and experience what they're experiencing, you know, on a daily basis, right? Like we do all the testing and screening and long drives to test these, but you still find things out when you're using it in daily life. And the other thing is we're really good about, you know, giving feedback to each other within the company. Like if I see something going on with my truck, I can call that engineer, or, you know, I'll call Mike and, hey, this happened to my truck. What can we do about that? Or, hey, this happened to my truck. It worked really good. Good job on that. So we try to share information and be transparent with each other. You know, at the end of the day, we're all trying to make the best product for our customers that we can.
Somebody called you a liar.
A liar. Oh,
Matt Sitarski says he has a new vehicle every 4 months. LOL.
oh, that's my brother. Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool. I think we I was gonna wrap this up, but we have a really interesting question here.
That's a good one. I think I saw what you saw.
Yeah, from Nick.
Yeah.
No, Nick says most liked feature of the Tundra versus the least liked feature of the Tundra. Ooh, putting them on the spot.
Yeah, that's no problem.
At least he didn't start with, that's a really good question, because I figured that's usually the filler when somebody doesn't know how to answer a question, like, oh, that's a really good question.
No, for my most liked feature, that's super easy. For whatever reason, I don't know if you have, but like if you're driving and you hit your bed view, you can like see the bed of your truck when you're driving.
Yeah.
My son thinks that's like the coolest thing in the world. And so every time he gets in the car, he's like constantly hitting that button. And every time someone comes in the car, he hits that button to be like, look, you can see what's in the bed of the car while you're driving. So he absolutely loves it. The feature itself can't be annoying, but my son doing that nonstop while I'm driving, that portion maybe is like the least. So maybe it's the same feature. No, I love my truck. The biggest thing in it, it's my own fault, is I got the Crew Max with the long bed, and that's a pretty long truck. So that's not to any fault of the trucks. It's just a big truck and parking and the turning radius and but I love it. I mean, I've had a lot of people in there and they're very surprised on the ride comfort and so yeah, I love it.
It's good. Now, do you pitch the sail when you make a right-hand turn? Get the sail wind to help you make that turn? No.
The right hand, no, none of that. I will tell you, I have with the long bed, I have increased the number of curbs I've run over those. So the side of my tires are probably a little bit scuffed up.
I tell people I always go from like a Mini Cooper to a crew cab 6.5 foot bed height heavy duty truck.
Yeah,
and the curbs have no idea what's coming for them because it's all over the place.
Yeah, it's the first car I had was a 1989 Grand Marquis. I called it the boat. That thing was like pretty long too. So in a way, it reminds me of that.
No, well, we have a GTI, and so like I'll drive the GTI, and then right now I'm in a Mercedes GLS, which is the size of a Ford Expedition, and it's just like you go from to and you're like, wait, what just happened? So yeah, it like I didn't think the GLS was as big as it was, and I backed it into my garage, and I'm not going to tell you whether or not it fit because there's going to be a picture for that on Instagram. Follow me. But yeah, it's a lot bigger than I thought it was, and it's always hard to make the transition between big and small.
Yeah, parking garage can be tough, and our office is in Ann Arbor, and a lot of the parking garages in Ann Arbor have low height, so I always try to my wife's car when I have to go park down there.
So I got one piece of housekeeping here. I want to know, it's right in my notes here. It says, Jill changed hats. Why did Jill change hats?
I was making a nod to our White Sox fan here, J.A.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, because the White Sox are not in the World Series last time I checked. Let me check my phone again.
The White Sox have only been in the World Series like once, and that was like 2005 when they won it. And yeah. But I will
No. Shoeless Joe Jackson. Wasn't that White Sox? 19 something like that?
Oh, it's when they cheated and threw it? Is that what you're talking about? The Black Sox?
Again, it's in my notes here.
1908, I think it was.
It's in my notepad here. I have the data they cheated one World Series.
1908, I think that was. I could be wrong on that, but I feel like it was there. But yeah, no, that's why I switched the hat. It was, as a nod to our friend who was the White Sox fan.
Oh, now
does this make you feel better?
Oh, yes.
I'll do like a.
Oh, please don't.
Talking to me. Sorry.
All right, I think that does it for this live stream. Oh my gosh, it's been an hour. Can you believe it?
Oh, wait. wait, 1919 is what Alexander McKay says.
Oh, I'm sorry. We've been corrected. This happens on the channel. We do get corrected. So any final thoughts from you guys?
Yeah, thanks for having me. We're happy to join anytime, and hopefully this was able to give our customers or your viewers some perspective on what we prioritize and some of the things that go into developing these systems. And yeah, if there's any follow-up questions you have, of course, reach out and we'll get your viewers the answers that they're looking for. We're happy to do so.
And I just have to put it on the calendar. You are the highest level person we've had on the live stream podcast, whatever.
Oh, really?
You're it. Yeah.
In the office, they call me low level Nick. I like to. I like to.
No, you're high level Nick. So
no. I like to stay underground. So just another passionate Toyota engineer.
There you go. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching tonight. We hope you had a good time tonight. Also, check us out on the website, pickuptrucktalk.com. Jill's already writing good stuff over there. I occasionally throw out some, what do we call it the other day? Some dribbling, some just some
nuggets of information.
Nuggets of information that she has to unfortunately edit. Really understand what's going on here. I only pay her to edit my stuff. That's what happens here. She's on retainer for that stuff.
So really, what you're reading when you read Tim's article is me, because I've had to reword everything.
Basically, yes, that's what happens. Check us out next week on next Friday. We'll do another live stream because we're actually in town next week, and then I'll be in town for a while.
I'm like, wait, am I in town next week? Yeah, I am.
I'll check the calendar here. Yep, you're in town.
I was at my parents' house this week, so.
That's true. I understand. All right, thanks again for Nick joining us. As always, thanks for watching, everybody. We will see you down the road.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye.